H.R. 5273 aims to improve border security by increasing the inspection rate of vehicles entering the United States with non-intrusive inspection systems or similar technology. For years, Custom and Border Protection has used NII systems to see inside vehicles for potential contraband, such as drugs, without physically opening or unloading them. This is critical since the majority of highly addictive and lethal drugs being smuggled into our country are being smuggled through our ports of entry, not between them. According to the 2019 National Drug Threat Assessment released by the Drug Enforcement Administration, passenger vehicles and commercial trucks continue to be the primary method used by Mexican transnational criminal organizations to traffic drugs such as cocaine, heroin, and fentanyl into the United States. However, CBP currently only scans about 15% of commercial trucks and just 1% of passenger vehicles with NII systems. In fiscal year 2019, Congress provided $570 million to CBP to install additional systems on the southwest border. CBP has indicated that these additional systems will primarily be installed at large ports of entry. CBP expects these additional systems to increase NII scanning rates of commercial trucks to 72% and passenger vehicles to 40% by fiscal year 2024. While this will undoubtedly improve security, it will also increase the risk that transnational criminal organizations will shift their smuggling efforts to smaller ports of entry that lack NII equipment, such as those in my district. This is a concern that I raised with CBP and port officials during a field hearing I held with my colleague, Congressman Crenshaw, in my district in Santa Teresa, New Mexico, last December. My legislation aims to ensure that all land ports of entry are appropriately equipped to combat smuggling. Specifically, H.R. 5273 requires the Secretary of Homeland Security to develop a plan to expeditiously scan 100% of vehicles with NII systems or other similar technology at each port of entry. It will also require the Secretary to report annually on the Department's progress implementing the plan until 100% of commercial and passenger vehicles are scanned. Mr. Speaker, I am proud of the bipartisan work that went into developing this legislation. Specifically, I want to thank my colleague, Mr. Crenshaw, for his support on the bill. H.R. 5273, if enacted, will help keep our communities more secure by ensuring that CBP has the tools in place to do a more effective job at interdicting dangerous narcotics and dangerous materials. With that, I urge my House colleagues to support this legislation and reserve the balance of my time.
The gentlelady from New Mexico reserves the balance of her time. The gentleman from Texas is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I yield myself such time as I may consume. I rise today in support of H.R. 5273, the Securing America's Ports Act, and I am proud to be an original co-sponsor of this legislation, and I thank my colleague from New Mexico. Our ports of entry continue to be a preferred avenue for transnational criminal organizations and drug smugglers to transport narcotics and contraband into the United States. In fact, U.S. Customs and Border Protection seized more than 455,000 pounds of narcotics at our ports in fiscal year 2019 alone. The amount of fentanyl seized in 2019 was enough for more than 577 million lethal doses. That's more than the entire population of the United States. H.R. 5273 forces the Department to act on securing the ports of entry by requiring the Secretary to develop a plan to scan all commercial and passenger vehicles entering the United States through land ports using non-intrusive inspection systems or similar systems within 180 days. This bill encourages continued research and development, including consideration of emerging technology to meet the inspection system plan requirements. H.R. 5273 also requires the Secretary to establish benchmarks to evaluate progress toward 100% scanning, estimated costs, anticipated impacts on commerce, and anticipated impacts on border security operations, including staffing considerations. Last year, Congress made a significant investment in funding non-intrusive inspection equipment for implementation across the land borders over a 5-year period, and this bill would ensure an appropriate plan is in place so that rollout runs smoothly and taxpayer dollars are well spent. I urge my colleagues to support this bill, and I reserve the balance of my time.
Gentleman from Texas reserves. Gentlelady from New Mexico is recognized.
Mr. Speaker, I have no more speakers and am prepared to close after the gentleman from Texas closes.
Gentlelady reserves. Gentleman from Texas is recognized.
Mr. Speaker, I urge adoption of the bill, and I yield back the balance of my time.
Gentleman yields back. Gentlelady is recognized.
Mr. Speaker, again, it is vital that all vehicles entering the United States are scanned with NII systems or similar technology to combat the smuggling of drugs and other contraband in the country. My legislation would help do just that by requiring the Secretary of Homeland Security to develop a plan to achieve 100% scanning rate of vehicles at each port of entry and reporting on progress annually until that goal is achieved. I thank my colleagues on the Committee on Homeland Security for their unanimous support to favorably report my bill to the floor. I strongly urge all of my colleagues to support H.R. 5273. With that, I yield back the balance of my time.
Gentlelady from New Mexico yields back the balance of her time. Question is, will the House suspend the rules and pass Bill H.R. 5273 as amended? Those in favor say aye. Those opposed, no. In the opinion of the chair, 2/3 being in the affirmative, the rules are suspended. The bill is passed without objection. The motion we consider is laid on the table.